Hi guys, Mr. Talbot here for you. Wanted to do a little tutorial video over our topic 2.1 assignment here. And this is going to be a longer video. It's going to kind of go bit by bit, but we're learning a new skill called lateral reading in this video, so really good to pay attention to that. We're going to kind of model that for you. The first step here, I'll just tell you, we're going to be defining humanism. There is a Edpuzzle video that's in the topic 2.1. I would do that first. That's going to help you probably get a better definition and kind of know what to be looking for as you're picking out things in your artist. So much like we did with the ancient Athens, we have this purple box here. This is for you to annotate as you go along, highlight, add comments. So I'm going to see, it's an intellectual movement of the Renaissance. I might highlight that. I'm going to see that it's got, looking at things like from ancient Rome and Greece, that might be something that I think is important. So I could highlight that. I would look at, maybe it's, transcending the differences between the different Christian religions. Those are all possible things to annotate and pick out. Then I would write my own definition in this box here. So that's step one. Again, I would do the notes part first, but again, you do you. Step two is the quickest step of all. I've given you 5 Renaissance artists. There are hundreds of Renaissance artists. For this assignment, what we're really focusing on is finding relevant sources, and I wanted you to have ones that are going to have a ton of sources, a ton of good sources. So would encourage you to stick to the list here. You notice I'm going to ask you to highlight your selection. I'm going to do Donatello. He was my favorite Ninja Turtle, so I'll pick him. But I'll just highlight. That's all you got to do for step 2. Real simple here. Now, when you get to step 3, this is when you're really going to start doing some research. But it starts pretty easy, so I'm doing Donatello, so I'm just going to type that there. The big thing I need to be answering is, how does Donatello reflect the humanist movement? So my research question is going to be just that. How does Donatello represent the humanist movement? Now you're going to notice that there's also this section in here for search terms. As I do some initial research, I'm probably going to find some things that I'm going to want to research, and that's going to help me dig a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to hop over to Google, and I'm going to be, how does Donatello represent humanism? And I'm going to see what comes up. And so I'm looking for a good, credible source. And so I'm kind of just going to scroll a little bit here. I'm not necessarily going to click on the first thing. So I see the term blogger here. I don't like blogs because they're not, necessarily going to be credible. I haven't heard of that one. So I'm kind of looking for something maybe that I've heard of. And so go down. I've definitely heard of Britannica. I've definitely heard of Khan Academy. You're welcome to look at the other ones, but if you know of a credible source, go ahead and pick that out. And so I picked out Britannica. And so now I'm just going to kind of scroll and see, okay, is this really going to help me or not? And so again, I'm looking for things like humanism. And so I'm going to I see the term humanist here. I'll remind you, if you hit the control key on your keyboard and then F, you can also type in keywords. That's a great way to save you some time. And so I'm going to see, okay, so he liked ancient art. He's using classical Roman lettering. So that's going to be good stuff for me. So I know this is a site I'm going to use, and I'm going to hop back over to my example. I'm going to just paste the URL right there. That's all I got to do for now. The author, we don't have one in this case, but I know it's Britannica. And then notes or information so we know Donatello looked at ancient art and used Roman lettering. There might be other stuff in there, but for right now, that's good enough. But the biggest thing, and the thing that's going to be 4 of your points on this assignment, so the majority of your points, is determining that this source is credible. So if you watch nothing else of this video, this is kind of the skill we're working on. It's called lateral reading. So there's a lot of ways to lateral read. We're just going to use Wikipedia for the time being. So what I'm going to search for in Wikipedia is not Donatello anymore, because I've already found what I think is a good source. I'm going to search for Britannica.com, and then I'm going to type in Wikipedia after that. And this is going to pretty much guarantee that Wikipedia is going to come up first. That's why I throw that on the end there. If you're using another site and you find that they don't have a Wikipedia page, I would encourage you to pick a different source. I think that's going to be your best bet for this one. That's why we're picking the really popular ones. So I'm just going to click on this website here, And I'm not going to read the whole thing. What I'm looking for is not what is Encyclopedia Britannica. I'm looking for stuff that tells me that it's credible. And so as I read this, I check out this section here. It's got, 1,000 full-time editors. That means paid professionals and 4,000 contributors. That's evidence that this is credible. And so I'm going to paste that over into this box. But because copy and paste, I want to put it in quotes so I don't get dinged for plagiarism. And I might try and find one more thing. And so I'm going to see, okay, it's the English language encyclopedia that was in print the longest time. Great. Okay. And so that's, again, putting it in quotes because I'm copying this. So that's all you got to do for that skill. Really important to do it though, and you're going to see why in a little bit. So that's called lateral reading. If you need to rewatch that, I'd encourage you to do that. So the next part, we want to find at least 2 sources. You can find 3 or 4 that might help you score higher, but we want to find at least 2. So I want to now find a primary source. And in the case of artists, their artwork is a primary source. So when I was reading this Britannica article, one of the things that stood out to me was it talks about how in this sculpture, the St. George, we see the human body emphasized, which is different than medieval art, and we know that that's part of humanism. So now a search term for me is going to be that I might add. It would be St. George and Donatello. And so if I just search for that in the Google, I would search for it, and then I'm going to hop over to Google Images because I need to find an image of this. Now again, I got to go through the same process here, and this took me a little bit of time was finding one that would be good. Now I got Britannica again, that's great. We want to try and use a different source. So as I went through, I found this WGAHU, and it said the Web Gallery of Art. So all I did before I copied this image was I just went to wga.hu wiki. And like I said again, that's going to pop up. If you can't find a Wikipedia page for it, that's, would be a bad sign. But again, I need to find evidence that this is credible. And so as I look through this, it's got reproductions of 48,000 bits of artwork. It's got high quality, historically important pictures. Those would be things. Then I also liked how it's got, all this. So any of those things that is highlighted would be stuff that I could copy over into my evidence that it's credible. I think a little typo there, but that's okay. So for my evidence on this one, it is that, shows the human form in a more detailed way. Okay. So now I'm just going to copy the image. Oops. Hopefully. We're going to copy that image, and I'm going to paste it in here. Of course, you might have to shrink things down to keep it neater for you. And then I just need my URL. So to do that, I'm just going to go back to where I got the image. I'm going to click on it, give it a second, boom. And that would be done, okay? You can, if you're hoping to score higher on the scoring guide, you're going to want to maybe find an additional secondary or tertiary source. That's something like Britannica, maybe an additional piece of artwork. Okay. So finally, you're almost done. The final thing is to make a thing called an annotated bibliography or an annotated works cited page. Now you're probably pretty used to an experience making a works cited page. And I've included a citation maker that I really like and think is simple. You're welcome to use one that you're more comfortable with. And the first part of an annotated bibliography is the exact same thing here. So just copying and pasting that into your bright yellow box. But then you're going to see I have this thing called an evaluative statement, where I'm going to tell you why I think that this source is credible. And so, again, I did the same thing. So my source was this Renaissance and Reformation magazine. I did the same thing where I searched for that, and then Wiki, I found some information about it, and it told me that it's been published since the 1960s. It's supported by the University of Toronto, and that it's kind of focuses on the Renaissance. And with that, and then I told you with that specific article being about humanism, it was a really good place for me to figure out where humanism. All of this in the annotated bibliography is in my own words. So if you copied and pasted from here and put it in quotes, that's fine. You just got to put that into your own words when you get to your annotated bibliography. A couple sentences is all we need, okay? What I showed you here is going to be at the advanced level because I have the citation, I've told you why it's credible, and then I told you why it's useful for my research. And that's going to be when you look at the scoring guide, what gets you into the proficient and advanced area. To get over to advanced, you want to have, probably getting into that third and or fourth one. To get to proficient, if you do the two sources and you annotate both of them, you're going to be in good shape. Got any questions about it, guys? I know it's a ton of information in this video. Feel free to rewatch it, reach out to me with emails, and have a great rest of your day.